Welcome to the Human Handbook podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Adam Tice, and we're going to be talking about everything you need to know but nobody's telling you about how to optimize your health, cultivate happiness, and biohack your way to peak performance. I've been in the clinic 12 years, and I'm stepping out of the clinic into the pod studio, bringing all the clinical pearls, all the foundational wisdom that you need to accelerate your health and accelerate your life. Here we go. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Human Handbook podcast. Today we have a super important topic, and I think one that's going to bring a lot of clarity. It fits into our paradigm shift conversation, and the title of today's episode is Navigating the World of Alternative Medicine. What are the differences between holistic practitioners? And this is a big deal because I think out there in the world of the internet, a lot of times the quote alternative medicines, they get all kind of thrown together, and that does a disservice if you're trying to get to the right place, if you're trying to get to the person that's going to fix your thing and connect the dots and really give you solutions. It's helpful to understand these different approaches so that you can make better informed decisions about how you're going to be caring for yourself and your family and deciding what's the right path for you, what's the right way to build your team. And as we go through this is, this is one of these things where if you asked 10 different practitioners, you're going to get 10 different answers. We're all going to answer this question differently, but I'm going to unpack this, and we're going to talk about what is the, under the umbrella of holistic medicine or alternative medicine, holistic practitioners. We have a couple of different camps, and I'm going to speak to a bunch of these, a lot of these, the most common ones that I hear, and things like complementary or alternative medicine, integrative medicine, functional medicine, naturopathic medicine, chiropractic, homeopathic. What's the difference? Why does it matter? And how do I tell the difference? How do I know the difference between these? So let's get in here and unpack this. This is something that in the world of practitioners, again, yes, 10 different people, they're going to tell you 10 different things. So let's go in and unpack this. And this is really designed to be educational. And I think as I understand this, there is a paradigm shift journey built into this. And as we go through this, you're going to kind of see that. So let's just jump in here. First of all, this is the journey. We're documenting a journey. And we're documenting the journey into wholeness, into whole person health. We're navigating this journey. We've been talking about the principles of paradigm shift, and this is one of these things that happens when you start to wake up and you start to cognize, you start to realize that, again, most of us grew up with the regular prescription-based system, standard of care, the dominant school of medicine, the allopathic medicine, and that's pretty much the model that most of us knew. Some people grew up with some alternative or herbal kind of things around in their environment, but the most part, most of us, we were only exposed to standard of care. I mean, me included, up until as a child growing up, certainly. And so that's one philosophy or one worldview, one approach to therapeutics. And when you start to get on this journey, and when you start to actually have health issues with either yourself or a friend or a family member, or you have some kind of encounter with the dominant school of medicine where there is disease management or symptom suppression or surgeries or these types of things, you have some kind of experience, you have some kind of encounter with the dominant school of medicine, and 10 times out of 10, there's going to be some suffering that comes out of that just because of the prescriptions, just because of the procedures. And certainly, anybody that stays in the dominant school of medicine long enough, they're going to get sicker and sicker. And if you just pay attention, that's not an opinion. That is a well-documented fact, that people that see more doctors are sicker. Just think around, look around, think about somebody you know that goes to a bunch of specialists. They might start out going to one, and the next thing you know, there's a bunch of other ones on board. So that's one thing that happens. But what happens during that process is it starts waking people up, and they start looking and seeing, like, what else is out there? How else can I address my, my symptom? How else can I address my thyroid issues or my digestive issues and my energy issues? And how can I take myself from being sick and tired and burned out to breakthrough? How do I do that? And a lot of people find that holistic medicine is an avenue to do that. And that's what I want to talk about today. So is, again, just deciding, once you get on that journey, where do you go? Which way do we go? So let's start. I'm gonna put together the first step out of the medical matrix is, let's start using something else. Or, hey, can I use something else besides prescription medicines to treat my ABC 1, 2, 3 symptoms? My head pain, my gut pain, my stomach pain, my constipation, my energy, my thyroid, my inflammation, my cholesterol, my hormones. How can I detox? All these things will start to come up. And there's a lot of different tools. And this is where everything gets smashed together and kind of lumped together under the complementary or alternative or holistic health umbrella. And a lot of people just lump everything under there. It's like herbs and supplements and vitamins and essential oils and massage and chiropractic and acupuncture and energy work and Reiki and everything and naturopathy, and all that is just in one basket. And I think that's what a lot of medical doctors think, actually, about holistic practitioners. It's like this hodgepodge of random modalities that aren't really connected, and they don't really understand it, and that kind of thing. So a lot of people lump all that together. That's the big umbrella: complementary, alternative, holistic. That's the gateway. I would put those things together. Now, as you move along, there's also integrative medicine. And integrative medicine is where you sort of are trying to have one foot in both worlds. You want one foot in the dominant school of medicine with prescription-based suppressive approach, and then you want one other foot in the vitality boosting naturopathic approach, and you end up straddling the fence. And sometimes we need to do this. Sometimes there is a rooted, established pathology, and we need a specialist guidance. And then we're going to also be doing holistic therapy. So that's the integrative approach, where you're doing both. You're doing some prescription-based systems, and you're doing some holistic naturopathic work. That's where a lot of people feel really comfortable. For some reason, there's still some kind of a comfort in knowing that that we have that there's a medical doctor on board, that prescriptions are there. It gives people some kind of comfort. It's a false comfort, but nonetheless, it gives comfort, and that is a stepping stone on the path of waking up holistically and waking up to waking up and coming along the paradigm shift, and really the journey of taking your power back and taking your health back. This is one of the steps that we take. Another step is the functional medicine approach, and this is where we're focused on systems-based thinking and testing certain systems and targeted therapeutics. There's a heavy focus on supplementation in this realm. And this is a part of the journey too. And this is where the predominant kind of a mindset, I think, with the functional medicine setup. And just by the way, all of these steps are necessary. All of these steps are complementary to each other. We may have, when we develop out a healthcare team, which is one thing that I encourage my people to do and I help my people do, we may have multiple types of practitioners on board as we've carved out and created a healthcare team. And I think that's an ideal way to go. We may have multiple approaches on here, but again, you need to understand the kind of fine differences and nuances between the different practitioners so you know where to go. In the functional medicine paradigm, it's a systems-based thinking. There's more testing and targeted therapeutics, a lot of supplements. And this is to support systems. And in this model, there is still a remnant of that prescriptive based mental setup, what I call a this for that mental setup. It's giving this for that, giving this nutrient for that symptom. It's still a this for that base kind of a thinking. The only difference is, the main difference is, instead of going first to pharmaceuticals, we're going to go first to supplements and some targeted nutrition, targeted nutrients. And this is where we're using, instead of pharma for our systems and our symptoms, we're using supplements and nutrients and vitamins and sometimes herbs. There's still a this for that kind of a mental setup there. Now, as we make our way down this journey, we'll make our way into the naturopathic paradigm, which this is really a big jump from the integrative and functional steps into the naturopathic world. That is a distinct science with a unique approach, and the world of naturopathy actually contains all of these things that we've spoken to. So it's not so much about what's the different modalities that you use. The big difference here now is what is the philosophy and the approach to wellness, and what is the approach to creating health. And naturopathy is a distinct medicine with a unique approach, and the underlying principles of the naturopathic paradigm are what I'm talking about. And these are the principles that we've been talking about. These are things where we understand that health is the balanced ideal state. Health is the desired state. Health is the natural state of man. And there is an intelligence in the biology and in the biochemistry and in the metabolism. There is an intelligence that is seeking incessantly to restore balance to the system. That's the philosophy, and that's the paradigm shift. And this is how we travel across the spectrum of practitioners and modalities. It's not so much about what you're using. Are you using supplements or herbs or vitamins that makes the distinction between the practitioners? The distinction is, what philosophy are we approaching an individual with? And are we approaching that in a personalized way? Naturopathy certainly does that. We know that every individual is unique. They have a unique history. They have a unique life story, a unique set of life experiences, a unique constitution, unique genetics, unique karmas, unique metabolism. And those are going to require personalized, unique solutions. And this is the game changer. When you get this click and you make the paradigm shift and the philosophical approach shifts, now you're really getting rooted in your journey, and that's going to open up this window where you're able to actually then take the different tools under this umbrella of holistic medicine and start to apply those. And it becomes not what tools are you using, but why are you using those. So we can have someone in the integrative or functional model using a certain substance, and they're going to have a reason for using that. And I may use the same exact substance in the naturopathic model, but I might be using it for a completely different reason. a completely different reason, not to suppress a symptom, which is what's generally kind of going on with the integrative and functional world. There's still some level of suppression there. And we're looking to move out of any kind of suppression into true holistic thinking. And it's all about the philosophy. That's the paradigm shift. So we're traveling the spectrum. So once we're in this territory here, I want to say just a few more things about different practitioners that you're going to encounter along the way that are, super important. Another approach here, practitioners, is going to be the chiropractic approach. And that's going to be the approach where they're focused on the musculoskeletal alignment and the proper information flow through the body, mainly by the nervous system. So they want to make sure that there's no musculoskeletal issues, there's no subluxations, there's nothing that is impeding the flow of information and energy from the brain and the spine and all those nerves going out and reaching out to all your vital organs and your muscles and everything. We need to make sure that information flow is there. That's what chiropractic is all about. And then again, under the umbrella of chiropractic, you can have 10 chiros, and they could have 10 different approaches. You can have an upper cervical guy. You got one guy that uses the activator, one guy that does old school, high velocity adjustments. The other guy does more like soft tissue, low velocity, soft tissue movements. The goal is the same, to optimize the nerve flow and the information flow to restore the optimal functioning. That's what's going to be under the chiropractic window. We have another group of practitioners here that are unique, separate, and distinct, and these are the homeopathic practitioners. And the homeopathic practitioners, this is a separate and distinct branch of medicine. Homeopathy is a separate and distinct system of medicine that can stand all on its own. Aside from naturopathy, aside from all these other modalities, homeopathy can and does stand all on its own. It is based on the approach of the magic of the minimum and this idea that, or this principle based on the law of dual effect, which there is an immediate temporary, or there's a temporary primary action, and then there's a secondary response that is opposite, and that's the lasting reaction. Homeopathy leverages this, and they're looking based on the principle of like cures like. And that is an advanced understanding that could probably be a whole episode, and maybe we will do that, just talk about homeopathy one day. But for the sake of today's pod, we're talking about practitioners, and we just want to talk about this. And in the homeopathic world, these are a separate and unique breed of individuals, and I count myself under this umbrella as a homeopath and a naturopath. Yes, you can kind of blend things, but I explain to my people that, we're kind of running multiple tracks is the way that I work with my people. I practice a classical homeopathic approach, as well as some other homeopathic approaches, with certain circumstances. And then the naturopathic approach, which as far as modality wise, that's going to be things like the therapeutic diet, and it might include vitamins, minerals, herbs. I would put those kinds of things under that umbrella. And again, the difference there that separates from integrative or functional or just a kind of everyday, holistic medical doctor, the philosophy. It's not so much the tools, because we might use the same supplement or the same mineral or something, but why are we using it? Are we using it in a this for that mental setup in an attempt to somehow squash or obliterate or suppress a symptom or make something go away? Or are we using it in some way to somehow identify and remove an obstacle to cure? Some using it to improve the quality of the blood and the lymph, or to stimulate the vitality, so that we can lean on and lean into and leverage that healing power of nature, which we rely on. That's why we're using certain substances. So this is a really important distinction that I think is good to talk about and good to understand this a little bit. So I hope this is kind of clicking with everyone. I hope this is helpful. because a lot of times I hear all kinds of stuff. I'm sure you guys have too, and you'll see all kinds of stuff on the internet. It's like, oh, I went to my naturopath, or my friend has a naturopath, and they told me to do some peppermint oil and some some magnesium or something like that. And that's all great. That is all great, but I think it's good to understand, if you, especially if you have like a condition going on, if you have some symptoms and your health is diminishing, your energy is diminishing, your digestion is diminishing, if you're having symptoms, you need to understand this so you can get yourself into the right place and get yourself into a practitioner that is philosophically aligned with you, and philosophically, or that you're, click it, if you're hearing that and you're like, wow, that really makes sense. Okay, I didn't quite understand that. I need to make sure that I find somebody that's lined up with the philosophy that I'm looking for, not just somebody that's going to do something alternative to pharma. Because if we're just looking for something alternative to pharma, there's a ton out there, and there's a big difference, because under all these umbrellas, there's a lot of different coaches and people that are kind of promoting these kinds of things. And I think all that is fantastic, because it just brings, it's kind of like, I don't know, one thing I'm trying to do here too, guys, is basically open source insider naturopathic information, because people like me, I mean, let's just be honest, are a little bit of an endangered species. There's a lot of holistic practitioners out there, but the philosophy here I want to inject, and I really want this to be mainstream for all holistic practitioners. So if you're, lay people, or just listening to this, like you found this is great. And then also, if you're a practitioner listening to this, like kind of getting clear in your own mind about what you're doing and why you're doing it. And it's all about the philosophy. I think this philosophy and this worldview and this paradigm shift is crucial, essential at the time we're in, to help people cross this bridge, because the dominant school of medicine, the wheels are falling off. The healthcare system is completely broken. Basically, what's about to happen with the dominant school of medicine is, especially in a hospital setting and the clinical type settings, AI is about to take over. And that means basically robots are going to be the doctors and calling the shots, and that's real. That's just real world. That's what's going to be happening over the next few years. So I think there's going to be this push, to a more human-based, a more personalized approach. And again, the difference, you can't pre-program, or maybe you can pre-program the philosophy into the thinking, and that's what we're trying to do at the personal level. And a robot and AI cannot do this, because it is not cookie cutter in the real world. And this is something that we need to understand. And I think people more than ever are looking for just personal, human to human solutions, especially for their healthcare and their healthcare needs. You need to give the right medicine to the right person at the right time. And that means that two people can be sitting in front of me with the same diagnosis and look the same on paper, and they're going to get very different treatments, because it's not conditioned, algorithmic, if this, then that kind of thinking. It's the philosophy, and it's the personalized approach, and it's the ability to think and assess in complex layers. And that's what we're talking about doing. So this is the difference between some of these practitioners. I think it's just popped into my brain. I did not make notes on these, but we should say something about this, because it's really common, and actually a part of my own personal story. What about Ayurveda? What about Chinese medicine? Wonderful and wonderful. Ayurveda is the ancient system of medicine that's over 5,000 documented written years old, and that comes out of ancient India. And there are highly advanced systems. They were doing transplants and surgeries thousands of years ago, and this is all documented. So there's a wealth of information inside of the Ayurvedic lineage and inside of the Ayurvedic in the Vedas and in those texts that those teachings come from. And to be totally honest, those are the precursors and the original holistic medicine. The original holistic medicine, in my view, is Ayurveda. It predates everything, and that mindset and that philosophy kind of seeded some of the early nature cure practitioners and naturopathic practitioners, and it certainly seeded and influenced anybody that's influential in the world of complementary, alternative, holistic, integrative, functional medicine. There is some influence, and that's where the seeds are in the Ayurvedic roots. There's also classical Chinese medicine and things like traditional Chinese medicine. Traditional Chinese medicine and Chinese medicine that come out of the ancient medical systems of China. I am a little, I think you need to know that not all Chinese medicine practitioners are equal. There's a difference between classical, TCM, there's 5 elements, there are different camps under the umbrella of even Chinese medicine, and that is something to look at. 5 element practitioners, or this is one camp. The classical Chinese system, TCM as we know it, that system came out from Chairman Mao when he basically wanted to systemize the Chinese medicine. So they kind of boiled down a lot of the ancient roots of the Chinese medicine and tried to protocol it or simplify it. And I think that's what a lot of LACs, acupuncture practitioners, and that's what a lot of the training is. So me personally, I say, like, where are the roots? Where are the deep roots, the old roots? And I would go into the ancient Chinese medicines and look at those. They're actually really aligned with the Ayurvedic sciences, and the approach there is very, very similar. So I think the roots of all holistic alternative medicine come out of Ayurveda and ancient Chinese medicine. The newer school, TCMs and things like that, I would just know that, and know that that's a difference there. And then this kind of covers the big camps that you're going to see. The other thing to think about here when you're looking for a practitioner or thinking about practitioner is each one of these levels, each one of these categories that I've talked about is also going to have a different level of education. So again, if you're, relatively young, healthy, you don't have any symptoms, and things are, pretty good in your life, and you're just looking to like stay in the domain of prevention and optimization and supercharging, then maybe a health coach or somebody that's, that is using some of the complementary or alternative modalities, that might be a good way to go for you. The education there's often, maybe some kind of a training that they did. There's a huge range in education, and this is an important question to ask. It was like there's everything. And this goes for like holistic and functional MDs and stuff like that too. I mean, just because they're MDs, they could take a weekend course or, a few modules of a course and be, quote, certified. But it was like, is that really, how knowledgeable is that about that specific modality? So, there's a big difference between a weekend course or a 12-week course or a 6-month course and a 4-year structured medical program. That is another thing that kind of sets practitioners apart. So if you have more serious or complex issues, you're gonna want to get somebody that has been more extensively trained, and they've been medically trained. For example, I'm a naturopathic medical doctor. I'm a naturopathic doc. So that means I went to a 4-year postgraduate medical school where we studied the sciences and the medicines and the pharma and all the basic medicine for 2 years, and then 2 years working on modalities in a clinical setting, in a family practice setting. So you see a wide range of things, and you start to see, in a controlled environment, how to handle complex chronic diseases and complex acute diseases in a naturopathic world. Those are things to think about, guys, when you're looking at practitioners. You're like, what modalities do I gravitate to? What philosophies do I gravitate to? What philosophy am I at now? And what philosophy am I trying to get to? You want to think about these things, and then think about how complex are my issues. Are these really simple issues that I can get a coach to knock this out for me and come up with some plans? Or is this a little more complex, a little more progressed, or perhaps there is pathology, disease process going on, and I need somebody that's medically trained that can help me look at labs and navigate the world of specialists, and also be prescribing non-toxic, safe, effective, gentle therapeutics. That, my friends, is the beauty of naturopathic medicine. It's the total package. We're going to have all of those bases covered. So, yes, I'm biased. I'm a naturopathic doc, but that also is just something to think about. And, that's honestly how I feel. I think that is really helpful. I tried to not put too much opinion in today's pod. I tried to give just the facts and just some of the foundational understandings. So again, just trying to help people cross the paradigm and enjoy their paradigm journey of waking up and optimizing your healthcare and navigating the world of alternative medicine and understanding the difference between holistic practitioners. So this is the difference between practitioners. This will help you build a healthcare team. This will help you personalize your medicine. This is how you do it. You personalize your medicine based on where you are at this specific time in your life for you or your family. And that's how we do this. This is how we really build and supercharge a supreme healthcare team. It begins with properly understanding the world of alternative medicine, complementary medicine, and understanding the difference between practitioners, so you can design your healthcare team, so you can take your health into your own hands, and you can manage and kind of direct your health. That's the download for today, guys. You guys have a wonderful day. Adios for now. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to today's episode of the Human Handbook podcast. My name's Dr. Adam Tice. You guys have a great day. Thank you so much for being here. And be sure to tune in next week, where we're going to be talking more about everything you need to know, but nobody's telling you about how to optimize your health, cultivate happiness, and biohack your way to peak performance. Adios for now, guys.